John Daly has his own show now with Kim. It's called the After Party Live. How about it for John Daly?
Hi.
Yeah, pulling me back. That sounds like radio in general.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Usually radio is holding you back. In this case, it's pulling you back. But I'm delighted that you're happy. How's the new show going?
I think it's good. It's a lot of work, as you know. YouTube is a monster.
Fabulous producer, John Daly.
Yeah.
We have a new overlord, the algorithm.
That's right.
Yeah.
It's really a long process.
Yeah.
So
torture.
How long do you think before you give it up?
Maybe a month or two.
John Daly.
Well, if she puts as much effort into prepping today's show as she did today, I don't know.
Well, she is really
in all fairness, she's doing
spread
everything.
thin. Yeah.
Yeah.
We on Friday like to showcase the state that serves up the weird, the sad, the bizarre, the crazy, the dangerous. We do it in a segment we call Friday Fabulous Florida.
It's time for Friday Fabulous Florida.
There is a gigantic alligator in my kitchen.
A look at the weirdest stories from our weirdest state.
A major discovery. 70 pounds of cocaine found by a mayor. Yeah. It's
major announcement.
It's a Florida mayor. Quite the unexpected catch on a recent fishing trip. Tampa Mayor Jane Castor helped reel in 70 pounds of cocaine while fishing last month in the Florida Keys. I mean, that's a pretty big
That's real.
haul. There it is. The drugs had an estimated street value of $1.1 million, according to the cops. She apparently discovered all of this just really quite by accident. 25 bricks, each stamped with a purple butterfly.
Oh, so it's magical. That's the good stuff.
Yeah, I guess. She was mahi-mahi fishing off the Florida Keys when she caught the cocaine. She spotted the packages, and Mayor Jane Castor is never off duty, they said.
That's not fake. That's real.
Yeah.
Well, if she partakes, she will be on duty all 24/7.
Yeah. She helped make the bust. She's no stranger to law enforcement.
I got a press conference to get to.
The former police officer served as Tampa's first female chief of police before becoming mayor, so she knows a little something about busting cocaine rings.
So she has
and
keys to
discovering
the evidence
cocaine.
locker.
Oh, yeah. More suspected cocaine has since been found in the waters off the Florida Keys. Lobster hunters found a brick that was turned over to the U.S. Border Patrol just over this past weekend. So there is a lot of cocaine floating around down there.
I think it's the sharks. Do you think it's the sharks?
Yeah, well, that's the movie. Cocaine Sharks. Yeah, exactly. A Florida man is accused of attacking nurse, stripping, and flooding the emergency room. Wow, that's a...
If you get it in order, you get extra points.
Attacking the nurse, stripping, and flooding the emergency room. That is the big trifecta. Southwest Florida is where this all went down. This guy flooded a hospital's emergency room after attacking a nurse and stripping off his clothes. The 53-year-old became agitated while in a waiting room at the North Collier Hospital in Naples, Florida. You know where that is, John.
Exactly, right down the road.
There's a Publix down the road. There's a Whole Foods across the street. He barged into the emergency room, pushed a patient, then pushed a nurse in the head. After the hospital staff got him into a room in an effort to keep him from disturbing other patients, he took off his clothes.
Of course.
He pulled a high-pressure water pipe from the wall.
What?
And the hospital's emergency room flooded, causing tens of thousands of dollars in damage. Chaos ensued. Responding deputies subdued the man using a taser after he threatened them. He was then taken into custody.
My bad. I'm sorry.
Maybe he was doing pull-ups. Once he took his clothes off, maybe he was showing off for the nurses, doing some pull-ups on the water pipe.
I wow, he doesn't look happy in that mugshot photo. And they would have taken him to the hospital, but he'd flooded it. So there was really not a chance for that.
There's never been anything like this.
Do you think he had like a bucket list of crimes? He's like, how many can I tick off my list? I've got 10 minutes.
He really did run the table. You got to give the guy credit for that. That's
I think the nurses were like, could you not bring this guy back? Thank you.
Yeah. Not looking forward to the return visit. A Florida man is arrested after registering his Porsche 930 Turbo stolen from the museum.
Ooh, it's a wild idea, but it just might work.
It's valued at $250,000, and he was arrested on fraud charges. He registered a 1977 Porsche 911 Turbo that was stolen from the Sarasota Classic Car Museum. The man used the VIN number from another vintage 911 out of a California salvage yard to register the car. Police responded to this Sarasota Classic Car Museum after the burglary alarm was tripped during an early morning trip of that alarm on, I guess it was earlier this summer. The officers were unable to make contact with the museum employee at the time, initially determined that the building was secure. But it wasn't, as officers would return later that morning to find pry marks on one of the doorways.
Uh-oh.
And an open section of fencing. Inside the museum, 7 vehicles have been moved out of the way so this Porsche could get out, and it was missing. The robbery suspect, who police say is currently unknown, was able to fill the car with fuel found on site and use the keys stored inside the driver's footwell to simply drive this collectible car out of the collection.
Ooh, it's a wild idea, but it just might work.
Yeah. The museum values the car in the neighborhood of $250,000.
Really? That car?
Yeah. It's a classic, Kim. It's in the 70s. I'll tell you I think it's a turbo, 3.3 liter turbo, and they're in the performance icons of the 930 family. That's what I'm reading here. Anyway, they were able to ultimately get this guy, Daniel Boyce, 36 years old. Isn't that right, Albert? They got him. The long arm of the law.
The mistake is he should have stolen it from Jay Leno, because if he'd stolen it from Jay Leno's warehouse, he wouldn't have noticed.
Exactly. It would have taken Jay months, maybe even years to notice.
To figure it out, yeah.
Yeah. So it was a complicated scheme, but he did steal this Porsche. And
would you call it a caper?
I call it a heist, is what I call it.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah. Meantime, on the other end of Florida, a Florida man who raised thousands.
Wait,
can
we go back for just a moment, because I have a picture. This guy, the Porsche guy, crazy eye. You know those mug booking shots where they actually look like you would not want to have anything to do with them. Yeah, check out his eyeballs.
Oh, you're right. Kim is right.
Whoa.
He doesn't look like a Porsche driver particularly. You know what I mean?
Like
he
a
doesn't.
spaceship driver.
Yeah, he looks right.
He looks like he's ready to go to the next level.
He looks like a cultist. That's exactly right.
He's ready to levitate.
Yeah.
Anyway, just want to make sure we saw that. Carry
on.
on.
I'm glad that was worth doubling back for. Thank you. That was actually very
Usually
good.
when she derails the show, it might not be worth it. But in this case,
it's true.
It's worth
she
it.
Has been known to derail for no reason, but in this case, well worth it.
Good job, Kim.
Yeah.
You guys are really rude today.
Florida researchers, please, if you could.
Kim, how are you?
Yeah, sorry about that, Kim. John just doesn't know his place. It's true. Florida researchers find a whole 5-foot alligator.
What?
Inside a massive Burmese python.
Oh,
that's right.
God.
Pythons in Florida, I'll remind you, are a problem. They are an invasive species, and they have completely taken over the Everglades to the point that there's hardly any prey left for them. They're fast, and they're effective predators that have nothing hurting them out there. Because they're not natural to the area, they are wildly invasive. They can outcompete any creature in the ecosystem, and they damage the ecosystem, right? They can be well over 20 feet long. They utilize massive size to constrict and eat their prey whole, and alligators are among their prey. They can weigh over 1,000 pounds, measure up to 12 feet in length. And indeed, when they got this 18-foot python, the snake had this large bulge in its belly. Researchers cut it open, found a 5-foot-long alligator inside the snake.
So I guess you could call that snack size.
Yeah, it is weird to think of it, but indeed, it's kibble size.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The kind you get on Halloween.
A Florida man who raised thousands of dollars after his husband was brutally murdered is now being considered what? If you guess suspect in the murder, yes, you can give yourself points.
Bingo.
Earlier this year, the Marion County Sheriff's Office was called to conduct a well-being check on 59-year-old Timothy Smith. He failed to show up to work. Deputies walked into Smith's Citrus Park home, and he was found dead. Authorities said it appeared he suffered a violent heart attack before his death after months of investigating. They had no arrest made. But this week, they announced a new development in the case. Smith's husband, Herbert Swilley, who raised thousands of dollars after Smith was killed, is now considered a suspect in the murder. They enhanced the reward to $14,500 for information about Smith's murder.
I thought you were going to say with some bricks of cocaine.
Oh, well, there is always that in the oven. They could enhance it more.
Deal for you?
Yeah. They also revealed that Swilley's daughter, Jordan Swilley, is considered to be a person of interest.
Oh.
Oh, my God.
No.
Everybody in the family's involved in this.
Can you imagine having that job doing welfare checks in Florida?
Oh, yeah,
That's
that
a
would be
full-time job.
You'd have a special detail for that, I think.
Yeah.
Of course, he's pleading that, he had nothing to do with it and all the rest. He's posting on Facebook, but
it's always the husband. It's always the husband.
It does seem like it's always the spouse, husband.
He's like,
or
I have
wife.
an alibi. I was busy doing drugs. I was in the Taco Bell drive-thru. It's on tape.
A Florida man unhappy over traffic stop flips off deputies out of his car window.
Always a smart move.
Yeah, you want to express yourself.
Yeah. Start right at the beginning. Get it going.
Yeah, establish that relationship early. You guys can't push me around. He was apparently unhappy about being pulled over while riding on one of the rims of his car. And then he's arrested after flipping off deputies. Now, you can see him there. We have the video posted.
Speaking of drugs.
Yeah. He does look as though he's not clear-headed, I'll say that.
Disheveled a bit.
Yeah,
dirty,
I don't think
maybe.
that shirt's been laundered.
We're blurring. Can you see
Ever.
the when he's holding his hands up like that? We're blurring it. I get which because it's from television. I guess they blur that FU sign, but that's what he's doing with flipping them off.
Right.
So, yeah. Well, it's a
It wasn't like namaste.
no. It was it's a wild idea. I'll give you credit.
Wild idea, but it just might work.
You got to have cojones to pull that number. I mean, I will say that. And finally, I have two more stories quickly. One involves Epcot. Florida is the home of Epcot Center.
Right.
And in Epcot, which is one of the happiest, either the happiest place on earth or one of the happiest places on earth, a man was arrested after he was accused, still trying to figure it out, snatching a man's car keys from an unattended stroller at Epcot, then breaking into his car in the theme park parking lot. Wow. Well, it's a wild idea.
Ooh, it's a wild idea, but it just
there
might
are a
work.
lot of wild ideas out of Florida.
Well, remember, there are a
Ahmed
lot of
Snina.
bars there at Epcot. You have that whole, what do they call it? The world,
you think
world
that
of
there
getting
was-
wasted?
You think that
I'd be willing to bet my lunch that there's alcohol involved.
I didn't think of that, to be honest.
Yeah.
Ahmed, it gives you courage. You get the, what is that, six-pack courage kind of thing.
liquid
or-
courage. Yeah.
Liquid courage, that's the word I
It's
want.
really surprising because Disney is supposed to have, a police force, security that's, unparalleled. And strollers at Disneyland are supposed to be, this is a safe place where you can leave your stroller with your stuff in it.
Sure.
Maybe you're not going to leave your wallet full of cash, but you should be able to park your stroller somewhere and walk around the park with your family.
That's a good point. Yeah.
Demoralizing that someone would do that.
Yes,
Well,
it is.
you are still in Florida.
I mean, it's
What can you tell us about the scene?
Nothing safe at the Epcot Center, Larry. It looks like it. Ahmed Snina, 24, charged with grand theft of a motor vehicle with a mask, which is a second-degree felony, according to...
if you have the mask?
Apparently. Maybe the
You have to
mask
be
is an
fashionable.
enhancement
You
or
have to be
something.
fashionable. Come on.
They think that it wasn't an isolated incident. They think that he does this.
Oh, shocker.
They feel that this could be tied to other thefts at Disney's Animal Kingdom and Epcot. That's according to the arrest record. He took various items from the stroller to include keys to a gray Kia Sportage. And you could see him on surveillance video walking through the Epcot Center parking lot looking for the Kia. Wow. It's kind of a low-tech move, but yeah, exactly. Keep going.
He better watch out when Mickey finds out what he's doing.
Troopers arrest a man in Jefferson County for carting 250 pounds of marijuana, everybody. Wow. You got to go big or go home. The Florida Highway Patrol arresting
Where are my weed
a guy
smokers
this week.
at?
Yeah, 250 pounds of marijuana. It was a routine traffic stop. Not an itty bit. The troopers stopped Kelvin Masonette, 33. The trooper suspected Masonette's front window tint was darker than the legal limit. Man, they really they bust you for some stuff there.
Not here.
While talking to the driver, exactly, they would just wave you through. While talking to the driver, he began to pour sweat from his forehead, apparently. So he's talking to the cop, and he's realizing, air conditioning is on. This is according to the report. Yet this guy is sweating like a guy having a stroke. And he then noticed the cargo area of this Chevrolet Suburban, and he saw that it was full and covered with a large blanket. The trooper's dog then sniffed the outside of the vehicle and alerted the trooper to illicit drugs. While he was being detained, the report notes that Masonette made statements to the trooper on the scene.
What he's got going here is a situation.
Yeah, mentioned the marijuana in describing the scene.
What can you tell us about the scene?
I can tell you there's marijuana in there,
He's
Larry.
like, come on, dog. Not cool. Not cool, dude.
His legs became weak. Mr. Masonette's legs became weak enough that he fell to the ground. And it sounds like pretty much the whole plan was collapsing. He's sweating like crazy. His legs got weak. And before he knew it, it was all over. And he was under arrest. So, yeah. It's hard to imagine choosing from this group a favorite. They are all very strong. There are gators involved. There's drugs involved.
Yeah.
I'll just remind you, here is the list of stories you just heard. The Tampa mayor finding 70 pounds of cocaine while on a fishing trip in the Keys. The Florida man accused of attacking the nurse, stripping, flooding the emergency room. The Florida man arrested after registering his Porsche stolen from a museum. A Florida researcher finding a 5-foot alligator completely whole inside a massive Burmese python. A Florida man who raised thousands after his husband's murder is now the suspect in that murder. The Florida man, unhappy over the traffic stop, flips off deputies. The Florida man stealing keys from the stroller at Epcot Center is nothing sacred, and then taking the vehicle. And finally, the troopers arresting the man in Jefferson County for carting 250 pounds of marijuana. We don't want to pick a favorite. The bylaws of this show require that we pick a favorite, and so we do. I start with you, John Daly.
This is a tough week. Good job, Albert. I could go either way, but I'm going to go with the hospital stripper marathon.
Hospital stripper marathon.
It had a
Very
little bit of
strong
everything.
choice. Yes, it did. Yeah, you're right. Albert, will you indicate, maybe you have already in the private chat, and there is a poll up in YouTube. You can vote in YouTube right now for your favorite. You should also vote in the chat, and you should vote even if you're listening in delay. Please vote. We do look at the comments. We do tally them. The tribal elders have asked that we keep track of this stuff, so we do diligently. Love the naked ER man, says Dillette. Yeah. Albert, could you indicate in the private chat, since you can't actually speak, can you indicate what your favorite would be while you do that, I'll ask
This is like
you,
a dream
Kim.
come true for you.
Yeah,
Albert
more
can't
time, more time for me to talk.
Kim, how are you?
Kim, what about you? What's your favorite?
I have to go the alligator and the python. Only in Florida. Gotta have it.
Yeah, I think it is very Florida. That's true. Albert also picks python with the whole alligator inside.
Bite-sized alligator.
I have to say, for the pure lawlessness and mayhem, and no one was hurt. Like no one was, I mean, there were people pushed and stuff, and I don't mean to minimize it, but no one was killed or shot or any of that stuff. I like the Florida guy stripping and flooding the emergency room. Yeah, I do. I just think that has the, but this is a real hard one.
It's not often that we agree.
Yeah.
It's an auspicious occasion.
Online, if you voted, the favorite Florida story, man strips, floods, and attacks, is in a tie with 5-foot gator. They both come in at 40%. The Porsche heist Epcot car theft, 13%. And the mayor discovering the cocaine, 5%.
Does this mean we have a runoff?
Sadly, no time for a runoff. Okay. But maybe they'll all compete in some other way as they reconstitute themselves in a different story next week.
Right, exactly.
Albert, thank you. Very well done. I thought that was quite the, it was just quite the list.
Albert,
and John, we'll see you at 1 o'clock with the
1:05. Let's be real.
Yeah, 1:05 with the after party live. John Daly, everybody. Yeah. Bye, John.
Bye.
That's Friday Fabulous Florida for today.
This has been Friday Fabulous Florida.
There is a gigantic alligator in my kitchen.
Y'all come back now, here.